find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So you're off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros is going to
toss it. Haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not a second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
Hello and welcome everybody. We're back for a new exciting season. This is the Formula 3 Championship for the Sim Racing for Simpletons series. Live from the Cicuit Zolder here in Belgium. I am Dean Biggles. Joining me this evening alongside in the casting box will be Nathan Richards. And we are definitely back for more exciting races with a little bit less of a grid for our first round, but most of the drivers will be back for round 2. Well, getting ready for some qualifying action underway very soon, but they're just finishing up some practice. Nathan, this is your first trip around this track, my friend?
It is. It's a very nice track. I've seen it online many times, mainly with the GT3 cars, but it's a great track. I like to call it the chicane circuit because there's, I believe, 4 chicanes. So quite a difficult track if you're not good at braking and turning, but it's a very nice one. I think with these Formula 3 cars, considering they're quite small compared to some of the GT3 cars and also the big lorries that drive around here, racing should be quite interesting, especially into some of the braking zones at the chicanes. And also qualifying, I think, should be very interesting. Obviously, you know, there's only little rooms for error. It's very easy to invalidate, especially at the chicanes. It's also very easy to make big mistakes. So I think it'll be an interesting one. And obviously, I'm going to Zolder myself in a few weeks' time, so it's nice to get myself a bit of knowledge about the track.
Yeah, it would have been cool if you would have gotten there before this, because then you would have been able a chance to walk around the track and really see it up in person. But I guess the luxury of still getting to go see it. No spoiler alert, please, as to the Formula 1 sprint race results, because I still haven't finished seeing that one. I was busy custom qualifying and stuff like that for it earlier. In the tricky conditions of Spa. So I'm interested to see. Because Butt Kick is one of our sponsors here this evening, and that stuff does certainly kick you up the butt. Kick you in the butt, really. It's fantastic audio equipment and stuff like that. So if you really want to get the sensation of speed, every time you go over those ripple strips, my friend, if you got some Butt Kicker gear, you're going to feel it. So it gives you a lot more realism to your racing. So more exciting. A lot of the drivers do spend quite a bit of money on some of their racing rigs, of course, with the steering wheels and the load cell pedals and things. So why not add a bit of butt kicker equipment to that as well, to more of a sim racing experience. David Holland at the moment is on the top of the timesheets in the practice session. He's got a pretty high iRacing, my friend, iRating number at 6.1k. So can probably look to be the pick of the field.
Yeah, definitely. I was having a little look through the results from last season and some of the streams, and I was just noticing a few drivers that I'll be keeping my eye on. Is obviously Mackenzie Rowan, the champion from last season, Alex Rivera, another very quick driver, and David Holland, of course. You know, I think he's got 6.1 I rating, I think double than anyone else in this grid, and of course Carson Keane as well, who's I believe on around 3.5k rating. So all very quick drivers, and yeah, I'm very excited. And if you look at the grid saying, well, I'll see some of the final names, but who are the first names? Well, I'll read you through the grid. So we have David Holland, Carson Keane, Mod Kaiko, Daniel Whitfield, Seth McFarland, Peter Vedding, Alex Rivera, Mackenzie Rowan, and finally Brian Long. So a bit of a smaller grid to normal, but you know, it's just kicking it off. I'm sure we'll have some more in the coming weeks.
We certainly will. Welcome everybody in the chat. Phil across the pond's here, my friend. You were just talking about that in the green room going, who's Phil across the pond? I said, Phil across the pond is probably the #1 fan, isn't it? I have to say that Phil of JPBroadcasting Network. And when Phil gets a chance, he has to watch races. Because, I mean, I'd love to see you racing, Phil, but you did explain the other day that your knees aren't quite up to it. It's because I said Phil's been around the sun a few times, my friend.
So,
65 years of age, Phil. Yes, sir.
looking at the schedule with all the different tracks, what one would you say you're most excited to cast over this season?
I will just read through the schedule for everybody out there that's not aware or aware of it.
Yep. Oh, we'll start qualifying. So the grid. I mean, the tracks this season. We got the circuit of Zolder. This is today, and then we head off to Suzuka for race 2, CGV for race 3, Brands Hatch for race 4, Charlotte for race 5, Spa for the second round, Watkins going for the 7th, and finally we end it off at Aragon.
Oh, that's I don't know, my friend. Really, maybe Spa. Then again, I'm just going to be sparred out after this weekend, so I'm not quite sure. I just don't want to even talk about Spa for at least a couple of weeks.
And we have maximum of 4 laps or 10 minutes, depending on which one we reach first. And Biggles, is there anyone you keeping your eye on? Anyone you think could take pole in this session, or is it kind of anyone could take at this point with this grid?
I say David Holland after he's been 1/10 to 2/10 quicker than the rest of the field. We'll have to see. At this point, as a new season, as everybody's had their little bit of a break, I don't know yet. That's a hard one, just to pick off those names that we have. But for now, I'd have to probably go with David Holland. Yourself?
That choice. I think it's the most simple one. I'm going to say, Mackenzie Roon, the last season's champion. I think it's obviously another, easy pick. I don't know many of the drivers from here at all, as it's my first time casting over this league. So, yeah, I'm just going to go with the last season champion. Make it easy for myself.
Driver we're on board with right now.
Yep, going through in towards the first couple of chicanes. Very difficult track, because you can see him coming down. I believe this is towards the start-finish line, isn't it? Out the final corner at turn 10. Heading into turn 1, it is I can't see what time he set, but I believe he did set one, as he went purple and green in many sectors, but he's coming through yet again in towards turns 1, and then you come into the right-hander down at turn 2, before hitting the little kink at turn 3. Just bring the car around there, full speed if you can do so. And then you come down into a bit of a turn 4. So a little bit like Paul Farrer at Spa. Just want to brake a little bit, throw the car and then get back on the curb on the exit and ride it out as you come down now in towards the first chicane on the circuit. This is the Klein chicane, which is, I believe, turns 5 and 6, I think it might be. As you come into that, down towards third gear, and just jump over the curves as much as you can as you head up now through the left-hander at turn 6 before hitting the second chicane, then at turn 7.
Just loving what they're on board at the moment, putting up the information to the right-hand side with miles per hour and the gear that the driver's currently in, as we are still on board with Mackenzie Roon, the number 11 yellow machine.
Yep, doing a great job. You come down now towards, I believe this is turn 8, bit of a hairpin. Not very tight, but it is pretty hard of a braking zone. As you come down, it's this little bit of just a straight chicane, realistically. It turns 9 and 10. Then you come down into the final chicane, the 4 of 4 chicanes on this circuit before you end your lap. You can see there going a little bit deep, but he corrects it as he comes out the exit now, heading up towards the start finish straight. What will it be for Mackenzie Roon in his Formula 3 car? It will be a 1 minute, and it didn't pop on my screen. It's a 1 minute 22.8. There we go.
Yeah, got to give it a few seconds as they cross the line, so it registers. It's keen 66 thousandths of a second off that pace at the moment. And then Andy Jager there for the Dutch Sim Racing team, if I get that one correctly, is in that third place. Just been replaced there by Mr. Whitfield.
Very nice. As we head now, I believe we've got a few cars still to come over the line. I think Vedding is heading over the line shortly. He does a 22.8. No, he doesn't. He does a 25.8 on my screen. It's a little bit different on the graphic there, as Holland goes quickest there, the second American to make it American front row at the moment with a 122.881. That was Rivera into the top 5 with a 123.280. We've still got a few cars to come over the line. I think Brian Long and Seth MacFarlane still to come over. I believe there Carson Keane did set a purple first, set has gone yellow in the middle, so maybe that could be his lap time over, as Keane there into third. 78 thousandths off from the pole sitter of David Holland, which is, I think, a pretty easy guess. Obviously, like we said before, he's got 6.1k R rating second, in line with R rating. He's Carson King with 3.5k, so he's quite a far ahead of everyone else. And Mackenzie, he's on a second lap. He's coming now out of the final few corners. I believe we'll see if he does set a new time. He does. Does it improve? Yes, it does. A 22.233. 6.5 tenths quicker there than Holland, as Carson King goes into second there, just a 10.5 off with the 22.392. These times are constantly improving.
Yeah, so finding a little bit more, they're getting some temperature into those tyres. Mod Elise Kiko, she goes up into P7. It's the thing is, you're going to find out with her, she's got excellent race pace and gets quicker and quicker as the race goes on through the season. So just the only thing that lets her down a little bit is the qualifying, but race pace is where you get paid the points. So it's like keep an eye out for her.
You know, some people are either really quick in the race or really slow in qualifying, or the other way around. It's very rare you see someone that is kind of equal in both. It just seems that you have the thing if you're either good in qualifying or you're good in the race, and I think they can both work out. It just depends how big that advantage is in said session. As I believe that was Rivera moving up to P4, sitting 6/10 back off Rooney, who's had a very good qualifying session so far. Holland, I believe he's on an improvement. He's coming through into the final few corners. He's currently 6.5 tenths off the pole position time. The whole grid separated by 3.6 seconds, top 7 respectively. He's 9.8 tenths of a second. As I believe we are on board with car number 5. That is Carson Keane coming through in towards, I believe, the start-finish straight to see if he does improve as Roon goes even quicker now. Puts himself 2.7 tenths of a second quicker with a 22.114. I don't think Keane improved on that lap, as that was Jaeger now into the top 4 with a 22.782, and Seth MacFarlane with his first lap, a 23.491. So putting himself just 1.3 seconds away, as I believe that was Holland improving. He's just 7 tenths back, as Whitfield now up to the top in P2, just 2.5 tenths back. So it's an American-English front row so far, with Mackenzie Room and Daniel Whitfield doing very good at the moment. Just 20 thousandths separating Keane and Whitfield. As I believe this was Vedding heading up to the line. I don't think he does improve. Yes, he does, by a good 1.5 seconds, as that's Holland now. 7 thousandths between him and Mackenzie Room so far, so very close between these two, as Rivera jumps back up to 5th.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that, but Holland made a little bit of an error actually as well too. I think somebody goes a little bit too off-road as they go through one of the first chicanes. So S's. Mackenzie Roon now set the fastest first sector. That may very well have been replaced, but he only has to improve on his own time for the self-entitled Muppets Racing Team, and this is the number 11 machine you're looking at currently at the moment. So you're going to look at improving, because 700 thousandths of a second is not going to be, well, it's close. It might be just enough, but I think you want to get a little bit more time out of it, maybe low 22s. Sets a 22.4, so not quite enough on that lap. Anybody else on a
must
flyer?
have made a mistake.
Now, Daniel, let's have a look as well too. He's got a purple in the first sector. Not personal best. Pulls into pit road saying, no, didn't quite work out for him. David Holland's on a flyer.
Yep, he's coming through. I don't know if he's going to be much of an improvement for David Holland, as he didn't set any greens, and he doesn't set a green in the 4th sector either, so he's quite considerably down. Maybe he has a chance to do one more lap. I think Whitfield's day in qualifying is over with a 2.5 tenth gap to Mackenzie Roon and Seth MacFarlane. I believe he is just setting a lap. He's currently in P8. Holland is now heading over the line again to believe to begin another lap, as he did go green in the final sector. No purple sector realistically on the grid at all, as Brian Long sitting 1.9 seconds back, and you can see there many people finishing their qualifying now. Mackenzie Roon, Rivera, Kaiko and Long, the only ones left to set a lap, as Long is on double green sectors as he's coming through now in towards, I believe this is turn 8.
Yeah, apologies at the track map, but for some reason it's not showing up there, even though I have it turned on. It did show up a little bit for the practice session, so hopefully it'll be good for the race. Look at that lovely livery there. Support the logo of the league all over it, and that nice green. No, it's not an Aston Martin, it's an F3 car. Let's see, Brian's going to improve on his own time. Not quite sure it'll be enough to be able to dethrone Mackenzie Roon's potential pole position, but at least it'll get Ryan a little bit closer in the pace to where we'd like to be as he crosses the line. He goes up to P7, so he's got within a second. That's about 8 tenths just off shy of our current pole time, and I think that's pretty much it for most of the drivers that they pulled in the pit road. Alex Rivera is still out on track, as well as Mod. Brian might be going up, staying up for another lap.
I believe it's Rivera heading into the pit lane, isn't it, with Kaiko and Long still got to be working their way around to the pit. So that is qualifying done, and it was a pretty interesting one. 7,000 separating the top 2, so that is a very close margin, isn't it, going into the race? And also the top 5 separated by just over 2.5 tenths of a second.
Is it 700 thousandths of a second?
I'll say 7,000.
7 thousandths of a second, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is...
so 700 thousandths, that'd be a lot further down.
Oh, yeah, that's right, of course. Yeah,
that'd be like 5 digits, that would.
insanely quick. I have seen identical times before in iRacing, which is very, very difficult, no doubt, considering how many fractions you can go. You got to remember, too, just to give you an indication, a Formula 1 car travels a full football pitch in 1 second.
Yep.
So imagine the 7,000ths of a second. What that would be.
And there we are.
It's probably about half of a car's width, not even that.
Yeah. You've got to think going 1 football pitch is straight. You've got all the corners to put into play as well as. There we are. We're going to get ready for the race, which I believe is a 45-minute race. So not the longest, but definitely not the shortest. We can see there the grid. So it is Mackenzie Room there for self-entitled puppets to take pole position with David Holland in second, 7,000ths back from the fellow American. Then we have Carson Keane in third with Daniel Whitfield in fourth, Alex Rivera in fifth with Andy Yeager in the top six, then Brian Long seventh, Mod Kaiko finishing in eighth, and then finally we have Seth MacFarlane in ninth and Peter Vedding in the top 10. So 1.6 seconds separating them all, but only 0.2 separating the top 5.
Should be fun and interesting. The nerves will be with the drivers, no doubt, because it is the first race of the season. See how that they're all going to be up against each other, of course. The practice that they'll be doing by themselves, generally on the track.
Oh, the pit stops come into play in this league, because I haven't been here last season.
Oh, pit stop's always going to come into play for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see how that ends. Up on the grid there at the moment. Yep. And we have all 9 drivers still waiting there for Peter.
Who do you think will take the lead into turn 1?
It's going to be interesting. I don't know. Maybe David can get it run. Let's see if Mackenzie can get a good launch. Over to you, my friend. Call the race start. First one of the season.
So, you can see we have the first light, second light, third, fourth, and the fifth light for the first round. It is underway at Zolder, and a great start there from Carson in P3 to already come alongside. We might go 3 wide into turn 1. It is, I believe, David Holland on the right side, and that's Mackenzie Roon leading into turn 1. Holland going a little bit deep. That's a big spin. That is a big shunt at the back. 5 cars involved down there, so that is going to have to really. I don't know if we have a safety car for that. No, we won't. We continue, and that is 2 people off the grid. And that is, who is that into the wall there? I can't see because the timing screen isn't popping up my end. But as we come through, it was Daniel Whitfield and Andy Yeager as we come through now. And it is David Holland back into P2. Eda Carson Keane and Alex Rivera into the top 4 as we come down now into the chicane. And you can see there Carson Keane having a lot of pace. But David obviously went deep down at turn 1. Oh, and that's Mackenzie Roon. That is the last season championship leader, the pole sitter, the race leader. Now down into 7th position, as Brian Long, you can see, just coming into the chicane himself. And that is a very interesting start, but now the top 3 is Holland, Keane, Rivera.
That's definitely nerves kicking in, isn't it, from the start of the race? Some cold tyres, and just like that, some crucial mistakes. We'll go back and have a look at the replay of the start of this race and get 2 of those drivers in the pits right now, of Whitfield and Yeager. So they've definitely had a bit of a contact. We'll go back and have a look at that one real quick there while we have a second. I think it's Brian was also involved in this one. So here it is. Here's your race start. Brian goes in too deep. Doesn't look like as much contact unless it was a little bit they call net code. And then that's caused a concertina effect behind with these drivers.
He just carried too much speed through. And I believe that is Yeager. But have we not got a... Oh, no. My bad. I got all red. Oh, my home screen's gone all red. Not sure what's happened there. Go back green, but have we not got a timer? Because I can't see one on my screen.
Oh yes, so I'll see if I can get that one sorted out for you. Or...
It's saying here a 1 minute and 1 hour and 50 race. That's not it, is it? 1 hour and 50 minutes? Surely not.
Can't be right.
Yeah, I thought it was 45 minutes. As we now come through, and this is David Holland still in the lead, 1 second ahead of Carson Keane in P2, and then Rivera still in the top 3. We've got interval gaps now of everyone all over a second apart, with Kaiko now into the top 4s. Did start down in P8, so very nice start there for Kaiko. And Vedding as well started last. He's now up to P5, and obviously we had that incident down at turn 1 involving, I believe it was Long, MacFarlane, Whitfield and Yeager. Obviously still Whitfield and Yeager, I believe, are out of this race as they're down in the pit lane. And now we have MacFarlane who's sitting 29 seconds back, obviously, after that pit stop he made after his incident. So, effectively, we've got 7 cars in the actual race, which is Holland down towards Brian Long as we come back through. Leading to the final few corners now as we go on board with the wing of David Holland as he heads up to the line there. As, he's got a Race Factory Delta Sport UK logo on his car, obviously part of the Delta Sport U4K team as he heads down into turn 1. And that's the fastest lap, a 22.5 in the race, and you can see that we're on lap 3 minutes into the race as we go through. You can see everyone obviously setting personal bests on their lap times as we still ride with Holland down now in towards the right-hander at turn 4 with Keane in second and Rivera just following behind, 1.8 seconds off. So now Rivera starting to lose a little bit of pace, and you can see Keane is not really losing much to Holland, but he isn't gaining. He's kind of sticking around that 1.6, 1.7 seconds mark.
So the information should be correct up there at the moment. I'll see we got your session time. As you said, saying 1 hour 50. We'll get that one sorted out. We are 3 minutes and change into this one, and we are also on lap 3. As Susan Whitfield out there says, good luck everybody, Daniel's mum. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Very nice to see. Someone's mum in the chat. Welcome in, Susan.
There's Daniel currently at the moment. There's your son. He was involved in that an off track, and here it is. I don't want to have to show. I have to show his mum what happened there. That was just a Constantina effect. I don't think any fault at all from Daniel. He just had literally nowhere to go.
Well, but Brian went deep.
Don't worry,
he
Susan.
Like he didn't even break for the corner.
Yeah, true. He's okay. That's the beauty, isn't it? As a mum, you wouldn't have to worry too much about your son in a simulator getting injured. That's the thing about it.
There we can see. Is Daniel still in the pit lane, or is that still the replay from before?
He's back out.
So there he is on track. Currently in P9 on that behind, obviously having to do all them pit stops and serve all that damage that he got down at turn 1. From Mackenzie Roon sitting on the back of Vedding. They're very close to each other, and also Kaiko now leading this little bit of a train between these two. P4 down to P6. It's Kaiko in 4th, Vedding in 5th, and Mackenzie Roon sitting in the top 6, just 2 tenths back. Good luck for a move possibly into turn 4. I don't think he's close enough this time. No, so we'll have to go for it again. Possibly down into this next chicane. Very easy to break someone into there. And you can see there Vedding going a little bit wide. Mackenzie now with the inside line as they go down into this next corner. I believe this is at the turn 5 chicane. No, not close enough just yet. So we'll have to go for it at a different point. But Mackenzie looking like he's all over the back of Vedding as we come through. I believe Vedding is a Norwegian surname, it would seem anyway. Which is nice to see. We've got people from many different countries. We've got Americans, Canadians, English, Norwegian, Dutch. Everyone is here for the Formula 3 Championship by Sim Racing for Simpletons, obviously.
Yeah. Getting close now, my friend. Let's have a look. So get the inside line there, sending it up. There is Mackenzie. No Australians on the grid, my friend, at the moment. That's okay. We got 2 of them in Formula 1. All right.
That was easy, wasn't it? Down to that little bit of a hairpin straight through.
Yeah, good job. Have a look at that
Mackenzie
replay again from their chopper cam.
Mackenzie Roon obviously shown he's very good. And he's deserving that champion last season. You can see into the inside there. Tucks it right into the apex, doesn't he? He takes all the curb possible, and Vedding goes a little bit deep, and that just allows him straight through, and into the top 5. Obviously, if people wonder why is our pole sitter down in 5th? That is because he had a lock. I think it was a lock-up or something coming out of one of the coming into one of the corners. It just spun him round.
So Vedding's got a logo on the front there. Is that Star Wars?
I don't know.
Logo? I don't know.
I hope it's not a Red Bull logo. It looks nothing like it. It's a different type of Red Bull, that's for sure.
Not a Red Bull.
Roon on the back of Kiko.
Yeah. Yes, you're right, actually. Just past Kiko right there, just as I was looking at that one. But don't you worry about it. I got a replay of it. So Roon's on a rampage right now. Back up through the field. Let's have a look.
Slipstream, inside line. Brakes a lot later there than Kaiko. I think Kaiko didn't really want to battle that. She knew that Mackenzie was a lot quicker going into there, so kind of like, go through, charge yourself away. There's now Mackenzie Roon trying to get himself back through her, I believe, I'm not quite sure, should be assuming, getting themselves back through the field, up towards the podium position, sitting 9 seconds back from the top 3, and the top 3 all sitting close together. Keane has now gained to 1.3 seconds to the back of David Holland. That was about 1.9 seconds a few laps ago, so very quick there for Keane, getting himself back in towards that train of David, and Alex Rivera just sitting 1.7 seconds back behind. And now Kaiko, I believe, will be in a battle soon with Vedding as Kaiko... Oh, what's happened there? Kaiko's in the pits. That is an early pit stop, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if that was is this going to register as a pit lane entrance, or was there a crash?
Let's see.
No, that's just registering. It's a slowdown for the pit lane entrance. Just
so what is the fuel like and the tyres? How do you know? Because I don't know any of it, to be honest with you.
I'm not a driver, unfortunately, so I wouldn't be able to tell you what. Maybe somebody out there can tell us. Maybe Phil might know. Or anybody in the
I don't know
chat.
if you have different sets of tyres and all sorts of like, because I haven't had time to go through everything, of course, for tonight. But yeah, it's a very interesting start, as we're 7 minutes in and Long there, sitting 8 tenths back from Vedding. So we always must have... Oh, no, sorry, no. That was Roon who got past. Long is sitting just behind. You should catch up onto Vedding very quickly. Now you can see Mackenzie Roon has dropped 3 seconds already there on the Norwegian driver. And now Brian Long, the American, trying to get himself through on Vedding as well. Drone, I believe, is that for TWS as a team, or is that some sort of AI-generated name?
That's a good question. I'm sure he's got the...
Most of them have like full names, don't they? And this one, just abbreviation.
Yeah, it's got the SR4S logo on the side of the car, as you can clearly see on Brian's car. And let's see if he's lining up for an overtake at the moment on the 73 machine there of vending. Not quite yet.
Down towards his first corner. Got the slipstream, of course, in towards turn 1. Not close enough just yet. So it seems like, Long's going for a different line completely to Vedding there. Vedding took a very inside line. Long went a bit longer around the outside. You come into turn 2 as well. Going very long, well, turn 3. Going very long as well. And he goes up the inside now. Gets himself, I believe, just ahead of Vedding. Obviously, there in the green livery car is Brian Long, and Vedding in the orange and black livery cars. We come through to turn 4, and he thinks Brian Long into the top 5 now. As you come through, you can see now Whitfield trying to close that gap up to McFarlane, Kaiko and Vedding. He's 59 seconds back after obviously having that incident there at turn 1, as that to serve these go to the pit lanes, get all these damage gone, and also, I believe, maybe refuel or change tyres. I'm not too sure. So obviously, he will be getting back onto track and trying to charge his way back up as Jaeger as well. Sitting 6 seconds behind him, and that was Vedding going very deep into that chicane now. I thought he was going straight on nearly as we go into that. And still, and he's gone round! That was a curse. That was a very heavy curse.
Oh no, what have you done? Yeah, who called it? Let's have a look.
You got a replay for that?
Yes, I did, sir. Right here, there it is.
So,
on
the curb. Oh, because he didn't even turn the car. The curb just chucked him around. Oh, so that's a very odd one there for Vedding. Not what he would have wanted, of course, in this race.
And it wasn't wet. It's not like it's wet or anything like that, too, because obviously you get onto that when it's wet and the rear definitely slips around.
Oh,
there's sneak peeks of rain coming in racing.
Rain's coming?
Yeah, there was sneak peeks that are shared from the developers about that one. So it'd be interesting. They're trying to do it like manage it very well, like for example.
Well, if rain arrives.
Well, rather than like ACC when and the Formula 1 game and stuff like that. When they have rain in that, like it's just rain that's kind of like evenly across all the surface of the track.
Yeah.
And
they're gonna make it like real life.
Want to make it more like real life. So if there's banking elevation changes and stuff like that, then more water can pile up into certain corners and stuff like that, because like you do actually get like you see in Spa at the moment, where you're getting certain puddles on certain parts of the track where it's dry in one area and wet in another. That's the kind of stuff that they're wanting to work on properly. Yeah, well, so let's hope they do that.
That is amazing. I think that'd be one of the first ever games to do something like that, wouldn't it?
That's why they're taking
so long.
Long. So we'll see how that pans out, of course. So that just might be just a little bit too much. Maybe they're finding it. You never know. That it could be too difficult. It might take them too much time. They might like, we want to do it, but it's going to take us 10 years. So let's just maybe.
And Mary, Hatif, Robbie, that is how it's spelled. Say sorry. Don't be sorry at all. We're only 9 laps in. You've still got another 23 laps, I believe, if I counted that right, for us to talk you through.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I wanted to pull up, though. The timer was obviously for the whole session's wrong. It's 32 lap race. So regardless of the time, that's what it is.
Yeah, talking about rain. If the rain does arrive, maybe I might save some money up and buy a subscription, because I want to test the rain drive. And this game in the dry is amazing. It's so realistic. Even with the Logitech G920, I can feel everything in the car. The bumps on the track, the grass, everything. So with rain coming into play, I might actually buy it just for that sake, just to see what it's like, because I'm very interested to see how that works. And also with the dry lines and wet lines, that'll be another interesting thing. Obviously, you'll have that strategy then of drivers having to move over on the wet side of the track to get the tyres cooled down, which I think will be really great for sim racing in general. As now you can see McFarlane getting onto the back of Kaiko, who's obviously been into the pits, hence why he lost 33 seconds on the back of Brian Long.
Yep, we'll see how it all pans out on that one. That's one thing that they did post, that they wanted a poll to say what are the most exciting things that you're looking out for iRacing in the future, and that is it. But you got to remember too, I think Peter's had a little bit of a moment, unless it's just gone into... he has had an off-track moment. Let's have a look at the replay of this one.
This was that one, but before then. That was one we saw beforehand. Straight into the gravel.
But is
that was just not got
this one as well.
So he's locked up into the chicane. He's gone around, and that's
the same start of how it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was all down to maybe a lock-up and then getting back onto track, which you can see him heading off there. That was about, I think on lap 5.
Lap 7, I think that was actually.
On the on the right, if you're not mistaken, you think, well, Mackenzie Room, was he down 3 places? Yeah, that was because of the incident down where he spun under traction and lost the car, dropped down to 7th, now back up to 4th. Obviously sitting on the pole from 7,000th to the back of David Holliday. He's having a great race. Now you can see gapped Carson Key now by nearly 3 seconds. So you could see there Carson started to gain close, about 1.1 seconds, and then David thought, yeah, I was only joking, I'm going to go and floor it. So he's now 2.6 seconds up, as you can see. The battle for third there, Brian Long 6 seconds back, and Rivera 8 seconds ahead. Obviously you got there car 222, car 1, and car 1, 2. So lots of 1s and 2s there between the 3rd, 4th and 5th, and also Carson Key in there. Number 5, Sebastian Vettel. A bit different to the other numbers down below.
And this is another thing too, mate. This is one of the big differences, of course, in iRacing, is that you can't drive in TCAM and stuff like that like you can in Formula. Even the esports drivers drive in TCAM. But this is a whole different ballgame when you're driving, as we're looking through Alex Rivera right here. That's how you have to do it. And it's a lot more difficult when you're low, of course, to try to spot these corners and stuff. I still kind of think, shouldn't they force the Formula 1 esports drivers to drive in cockpit view rather than TCAM? Because that's not realistic. And they are the best in the world.
I suppose you could say, well, is the F1 game realistic? No, it's not. So, I don't know, it's a hard one. I obviously do a lot of commentary over
That's why I wanted to ask you that, because you do.
Many drivers say different things. Some drivers say, I don't care. Some are like, no, because the game's not realistic. I don't want to drive in a realistic view. I want it to be the easiest for you to drive, which is like, well, then do you think is that a skill issue, or do they make a good point hard? I think there's many arguments for it and many against. That was a bit of a lock up there from Carson Key. But yeah, I think, I don't know, is the honest answer. Also, mainly the fact I don't want to get myself onto a bit of bias and get hated by half the community.
But that, that's the. But obviously, I think that's the great thing about iRacing since the start. They didn't allow that either. Anyway,
so there's no choice. It's
you have
that's
to.
it. Like it or not.
But obviously with the F1 game, it's entertaining. Like you can pick it up and play. I can play it on a keyboard. You can't play iRacing on a keyboard. No way. Good luck.
This game is difficult. I've sometimes I'll drive and I think, right, I feel comfortable. This game feels nice. I'm like, I'm 8 seconds off. Yeah, even though you feel very quick, you're like, oh, well. And you're thinking, then, where do I gain 10 kilometers of speed in a corner? Because I'm going through there. If I go any quicker, I'm going off into the gravel. So, there's so many aspects into this game which F1 doesn't have. In F1, it's turn, brake, throttle, and also, for some reason, drift. In this game, everything comes into play. Obviously here, fixed setup. So there's no advantages or disadvantages to setup, but when it comes to actually driving the car, the handling, everything feels so different. You hit a curb, you actually hit the curb. It doesn't just, you don't just glide over it. You actually feel the bump. You can see there Rivera jumping that curb and sending the car to 2 wheels as he comes through into that chicane. Now he comes through, turning towards turn 6. I believe this is called Butt Corner, which is a bit of an odd name, of course.
Butt
kicker? Yeah, B-U-T-T-E.
Well, let's call it the butt kicker corner. There we go.
Fair. I don't know if it's butt or boot. I don't know how Zolder or Elgin's pronounced B-U-T-T-E. But if there's any Belgians in the chat, let us know. Is it butt or boot?
Oh, it's Belgium's got a mixture of a bit of
French,
Dutch, and German, I think. So
yeah,
it's a bit of everything. So if you're from,
look at that.
This. Yes, little bits of lockups as you can see. And look at that, because Rivera's now absolutely flying. We were kind of talking about all this before with the different racing sims and stuff. He shaved more time off Carson Keen, so look at that, just within a second now. Look at those times, 22.9 for Carson Keen, 22.2 for Rivera. So, yep, almost half a second lap is all you need to do.
And David Holland, currently, tended to be Max Verstappen as he leads by 5 seconds nearly over the whole field. There's a second, just over a second there, splitting Carson Keen and Alex Rivera. Obviously, Alex was about 2 seconds back because all this locking up into the chicanes from Carson Keen. First of all, he's locking up, it loses his time. Second of all, it ruins the tyres. So, Carson's having a bit of a difficult job as well. I think that was like Alex nearly in the gravel coming out in that chicane, pushing like hell to get himself ahead of Carson Keen. I don't know if this track has any DRS. I know these cars do, don't they?
No.
Oh, don't they?
No DRS.
I thought the F3 cars had DRS. Oh.
No, you see the rear wing. You'll see it open anyway if it was in the DRS activation zone. 9/10
of a second between the two. Where are they? Oh, bit of lag. We're back. Oh, was Alex having a bit of a correction in towards the exit of that hairpin. Back up towards, in towards the final chicane, which is, I believe, turn 10 or something like that. I'm not too sure.
I think the F2s have the DRS, but they don't have the F2s.
I thought F3 did. I thought F3 had DRS. My bad, though. Because it looks like they have a gap in the wing that could open. And obviously, no one is in within a second, so we can't test it. As we head back into turn 1 lap, 14 and 32.
Of the new ones. That's a good question out there. Because I don't really follow
these older
F3.
cars.
I believe so. I'm not sure F3... yeah, that's one for chat. I don't really follow F3 too often, actually. The real F3.
Having a look, you can see on the left of the side pod, why has it got some sort of rocket ship attachment?
That's the engine, my friend. That's the
It's like a missile.
Intake pod or something like that, yes.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. They're definitely not the same as the now F3 cars, surely. Oh, Alex, jumping that curb again. Needs to be careful, because I believe, obviously, you can get damage in this, suspension damage, of course, all stuff like that. You do not want.
Absolutely.
So, go through. You can see Alex just jumping these curbs. Carson's just, going around them or just, sticking to the edge of them. Alex is like, no, they don't exist. Boing, straight over. And it's going to be a matter of time before he boings a bit too much and ends up in the air and goes into the gravel. So he needs to be a bit more calm and collected. Well, what? 14 out of 32 laps. Not even halfway. Alex, you've got more than enough time to get through on Keen. So just be a bit more relaxed. Don't jump these curbs like you've got nothing to lose, because you've got a lot to lose when you're in P3, because you've got Mackenzie Rowan 7.5 seconds back, who's gaining about a second every 3 or 4 laps, which will make that gap come down considerably down in towards the final part of the race as we go to lap 15 of 32, so nearly halfway. As in the chat, real life F3 has DRS, but they're also newer cars than this one. I think the iRacing F3 is modelled from the 2012, but I might be wrong. God, that is a while ago, isn't it? Yeah. I've only been in F1 community since about 2020, so yeah, I was only 6 years old then anyway.
Well, thank you very much for that. This is what I love about having reading live chat and engaging with the audience here at JB Broadcasting, because if we don't know, we're not pretending to know, we ask.
Exactly. That's how you got to do it. I think
it's always told that, like, it doesn't, no harm in ever asking if you need to find out about something. It doesn't matter if you feel like, you might feel like you're a fool or something like that, or you're not clever because you don't know. If you ask, now I know, you see, and I'll look it up as well too after we find a little bit more information. Alex, you see, this is I love how you actually, I'll get back to that. I love how you say, just calm down, Alex, calm down. You ever try to tell a driver to calm down? Oh,
well, I wouldn't recommend it to Max Verstappen. As you can see there, Alex lost a bit of time, going a little bit deep into that corner, so he's just sitting 5 tenths back from Keen. You can see a little bit of a straight line speed advantage with the slipstream, and yet every corner Carson is locking up the car, or locking up at least one of the wheels on that Formula 3 car as we head down into turn 1, lap 16 and 32, about halfway through. And Mr. Biggles, I've got to say, we're already halfway through. That has gone tremendously quick.
It does, my friend. Motor racing generally, when you're having fun, will be quick. Bits of gaps, of course, have formed on the tracks. You can see that on the track map as well. However, once we get a few more cars in as we progress through the season, and then you're going to get more spicy action. Last season there was, mate. There's always lots of action. So looking forward to that. Of course, those pit stops are going to throw a little spanner in the mix. We had 3 of those pit stops early, but that's only because they had a little bit of damage to fix up those accidents, but we're still running aboard. The dirty air is really kind of punishing Alex here, isn't it? Because he's finding it very hard to get away around, like you saw that overtaking earlier at the top of the show. But now he's getting as close as probably he has been in quite some laps. He's getting a bit, frustrated at staring at the gearbox there of Carson Keen.
I thought he was going to go for it then, but he backed off. He thought, we're not going to go for it this time. But the gap is 0.5 tenths of a second now. It's within Alex's reach to get himself ahead there of the man in second place as we head down in towards this final chicane on the circuit. We go through, and this time it doesn't bounce the curbs. He's learnt from his lessons. As we head back up towards the start finish line, you can see there now Carson tried to move over everywhere he can because he knows that Alex is gaining. As we come down in towards turn 1, the gap's just over 0.2 tenths of a second. Into turn 1, you can see there, obviously both of them sliding around in these Formula 3 cars, very slidey compared to many of the GT3 cars and the F1 cars. As we come through now, out of turns 2 in towards turn 3, a bit of a slight kink to the right, then in towards turn 4, bit of a braking zone, not too deep however. As we go in, you can see there, Alex carrying a lot more speed through than Carson Keen. As we head down now, and just not close enough, and a bit of a information in the chat, FT-Res says he was wrong. The iRacing one is modelled from the F317, which is 2017.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. It's still quite some time ago.
opportunities. And look now, look at Alex gaining heavily into this next chicane. Thinks better of it, doesn't go for it just yet. You can see through there, the speed in the low speed corners he carries through is tremendously larger than what Carson Keane is carrying. But then on the exit, because Carson's just in the way, he's got a bit of a wall, a bit of a barrier. He can't just floor it. He's got to let off just so he doesn't play into the back of the car ahead as we come through. Another rear lock up there for Keane as we head through now. This is the final bit of a chicane down in towards the final actual chicane where you actually have to brake and turn the car. And the gap is about 4 tenths, 3 tenths we go into here. Let's see, do we see a bit of correction there for Keane, bit of a going wide there for Rufaro as we head up towards the line. The gap's not big enough just yet as David Holland on 18 lap old tyres sets the fastest lap.
Yes, so he's probably happy that they are battling it out here at the moment, because what that's doing, of course, is that it's just allowing him to escape away in that more of a lead. And he's just setting a benchmark for the rest of the field. They're going, I'll do a 20 on. I'll break into the 21s where you guys are still in the 22 club. It's 1 minute 22 for everybody out there when I'm saying the 22 club.
And you can see Mackenzie Room sitting 7.8 seconds back. They started to gain, but it's kind of gained 2 tenths in the past 5 laps. Hasn't really gained much at all on this little battle. But if these two start going side by side, it'll heavily help Mackenzie Room to make his way or make their way back up the field. As now you can see the gap's about 2 tenths into this next chicane. This is where Alex gains the most time. Every time it's chicane, he's right on the back. Oh,
might be getting a lot now. Got to go for it.
The inside breaks later.
Oh,
he locks up and he collects both. Both of them collected. Now Mackenzie Room could try and make something work, but that is disastrous for the top two, for second and third. And Mackenzie Room takes the 2 of them into P2 now for Mackenzie Room, and David Holland leads by 15.5 seconds. That could have not gone any worse for those. So you can see the replay now coming through. Alex is, it's a bit of a slow-mo as we come down in towards this hairpin. Brakes, I thought it'd be later, but it doesn't really break that much later. He just breaks it the same as...
Just try to get that right on where it... Yeah.
There we go.
So it's gone out there.
Locks the rears, brakes too late, locks the rears, and then you can see just about collects the rear of that other car as we go round now. Carson Keane, that's not what he would have wanted, so Carson went onto the grass. Alex took the gravel to get themselves back onto track, and Mackenzie Room said, thank you very much, I'll take P2 if you don't mind. As you can see him shortly heading into the braking zone. That is Keane into the pits. So
they're both in.
Both of them pit in. Well, that's interesting. Then they come out ahead, I believe, behind Vedding. Do they or do they not? As we come out the pits. Vedding's a little bit far back.
Yeah, there is. There's Vedding.
And who's that behind him? Is that David Holland lapping him already?
Yeah, probably actually. Where's David? I think no, David's just across the line. Oh no,
so that was well, someone behind him. We didn't know who it was, and now this battle resumes. Rivera 8 tenths back, Keane 8 tenths ahead as we go through with those two. And this is Daniel Whitfield. Obviously, his mother was in the chat earlier on, and she still is. Unfortunately, he's not made much at all, has he?
But they're back at it again, so ding ding, round 2. Whoa! Really lifting the car up on those sausage curves is going to punish you. You're going to need to see a chiropractor, mate. That bail back is going to be, if you're in a real F3 car, your back will certainly be in pain right now.
So the top 4 separated by about 50 seconds, which is a tremendously large gap. That's bigger than a Formula 1 gap, with the Red Bull being dominant still. 50 seconds is large between the top 5, 51 seconds. And then we've got Vedding sitting 2.5 seconds back, 3 seconds now as we come through. And Brian Long just crossing the line. He's obviously in third, which has gone very well for Brian Long, considering he started down, I believe, in P9. So he's had a very decent race working through. And if you don't know what the championship points are this season, the way it works is the winner will get 25. Second place gets 22. Third, 19. Fourth, 17. Fifth, 14. Then it is 5th, 15, 6th, 14, then it goes all the way down by 1 point until you get to the back, which is about P20, I think. So 1 point intervals down as Vedding enters the pit lane. Kaiko crosses the line ahead of Vedding, and Seth MacFarlane also does so. Put himself into P7, and Whitfield still, for some reason, it says 2.1 kilometres second back. I don't think that works.
He is currently right here on the map, so if you look at the 9 dot on the track map, he's still got quite a bit to go, so Peter's out of the pit road right now. You can see Pete, that's the 8 on the dot as he exits the pit road, so Unfortunately, Daniel's a little bit too far back to do anything about that. That's all at the start of the race. And Daniel also had a 2-minute and change pit stop from at the very start. So that also that's essentially a whole lap, isn't it? 'Cause if they're doing 1 minute 21, so then almost 2 laps.
And a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, big shame for Daniel Whitfield, of course, and this is Rivera and Keane again at it. 6 cents between the two. This is a battle for P4 on the grid with Brian Long sitting in third, I believe. With the pit stops to come, Brian could be looking for himself, could be looking for a podium, which would be very nice considering he went straight on at turn 1. 21 laps to go, and we've still got 11 laps remaining. I don't know if pit stops always come into play, so I don't know if we have to see Brune and Holland and Long in. But if not, they've comfortably got themselves podiums, I think, at this point, because you can see now Carson Keane and Rivera are 18 seconds back from Brian, and Brian's 15 seconds back from Rune, and Rune is 16.5 seconds back from Holland, who's had a very great race, and if he turns up to every race, he should be blitzing this championship.
You're absolutely right. We'll just go back to that replay. Remember when Mackenzie Rune also had a moment from leading this race, and here it is. That was way back on the first lap. So Mackenzie Rune is lucky to be in that P2, just loses it right there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars that go all the way through. So we've seen Mackenzie Rune, absolutely fantastic comeback drive from pole. Now currently running in P2, but David's pace at the moment is going to be something very, very difficult for Mackenzie to try to do. As you can see, 16-second gap. But I'd have to say, taking a P2...
Oh, he's made the pass. We didn't see that one, did we?
Yeah, no, we didn't. It's a replay. We'll go back and have a look at that one right now, actually. It's because Alex has gone off track. Oh. This is the reason why. Let's have a look at full speed.
So, Alex behind, Carson there. They need to make contact yet again. So, Carson went a bit deep. Alex had to take avoiding action by going onto the grass. They went side by side. I think Carson might have just let off a bit, let him through. So now we have Alex into P4. So these two, this time, made it work. Could have ended horribly wrong again. But no, they make it through this time. And now you can see Carson's dropping back. He's 1.2, 1.3 seconds behind Alex. So very nice there for Alex. And it's a move that should have been done about 10 laps ago. But unfortunately, they ended up... Oh, that's Carson again. Making a mistake. And he's round. And there you can see just Mod Kinko. And he goes into the wall as well. But Kaiko coming through. And that is... I think he's the race.
Mod's had to go off, I think. So she... Why has...
Could avoid that.
She's
Chaos and McFarland into P5. Whitfield's only 21 seconds back from Venning, so he's looking to make something work as well. Jaeger's 19 seconds back. This is McFarland and Coco fighting for P5 in this race, and still Coco behind me come through into butt kick a corner, as we'll call it now, the left-hander before you hit the next chicane. And it is Coco up the inside, and no, she sits back for now. Doesn't want to take too many risks. Something Alex should have learned 10 laps ago.
Exactly. This is just exciting like that. And it could easily switcheroo. So I don't think anybody, essentially this part of the race, is super safe. Because if you can make a mistake, as Keane had to actually tow back to the pit road too, so that takes you a little bit more time. Because I calculate, as in iRacing, as in a tow truck literally comes and picks your car up, and the time it takes to drive the tow truck back to the pit road, unload the car so they can start fixing it. So all that's trying to calculate. That's what they say when you get a tow back to pit road. Let's have a look what happened to Mod here. So she, remember there was that. This is a little bit further back, right out into the sand.
So she was riding the curb, and I don't know if the curb just caught the car and she couldn't get back onto the track before she hit that grass. Then you hit the grass, you hit the gravel, and that is how was it Vedding, I think, McFarlane. That's how he got through.
Yep.
So very good job from him. And Clark also did a very decent job. The only mistake she really made this whole race. Yep. As you said, Goals, better in race pace and quality for definite.
Yep, absolutely. As you can see, up a couple of places too at the moment in P6. It gets very, very racy. He's still got some time to do it as well. So I'm sure he's going to want to retake this position from Seth, who's actually gained 4 places too from Seth Collins. So I have to say, a good drive.
Well, considering that Long, McFarlane, Long, McFarlane, Whitfield, Jaeger were all involved in that incident down at turn 1. They've all made themselves up. What is this here? This is Alex Rivera. Has he made a mistake or something into the chicane? Hop the curb.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, Alex. You've learnt your lesson. Don't hop that curb. Finally. It took him 21 laps, but he's finally paid the price. And I believe that is Brian Long sitting behind. No, it's not, is it? Who's that there? That is Coco, isn't it? I think. Or McFarlane,
No,
one of the two.
It's McFarlane. It
Oh,
was. Alex
very
has gone
nice.
in pit road.
Oh, and Holland. Holland's into
And
pits
Holland.
now to make
Yeah.
his pit stop.
I think they had to at this point because it's to take that
definitely.
mandatory pit stop. Let's have a look there. So they're in. They're the last of the pit stops. Yeah, as Holland's here.
Holland entering the pits. The thing is, if you can make it to the end after one pit stop, Brian's got a very good chance as Mackenzie Roon enters the pit lane as well to make their first pit stop. As we come through, so the top two in the pits. Brian Long sitting behind. I don't think he's entering the pits. Is he entering the pits?
No, Brian doesn't need to. Oh yes, so Brian is the only driver that hasn't had a pit stop yet. So
He hasn't pitted.
No, one of who's going to go in.
Oh, so he needs to go in next lap, doesn't he? Surely, or at least in a couple of laps' time. Does he take the lead?
Take P2,
from...
yes, right there, because you should see in a second.
Yep. There we are. So the gap's 4.7 seconds to Holland. Obviously, Holland's got to warm up his tyres and get himself into that groove again.
It's Mackenzie in the pit road right there coming out now.
Mackenzie,
in
P3. Behind McFarlane, maybe?
No, McFarlane is, if you see on the track map, they're just coming out of the final, not the final corner, but going up to the chicane corner. So, yeah.
Yep.
And he's got a concentrated course of Kiko in his tailpipe.
Yeah. So at the moment, Long's got a pit, so that means Roon will go into P2 very well momentarily in a few laps' time. We're on lap 25 and 32, 7 laps left remaining in this Formula 3 race. Obviously, first of the championship here at Cicuit Zolder, of course, produced by the JP Broadcasting team. So obviously make sure to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get to see every single race coming this week, because we've got everything, haven't we, Biggles, across the board. We've got GTs, Formula 3s, Formula cars, everything you can find here when it comes to racing.
Absolutely. You want it, and JP Broadcasting's got it. Unfortunately, it looks like Carson Keane has just retired from the session, so after that has just elected to maybe said those repairs are going to take too long. I don't know. Probably maybe a little bit upset with himself.
But then again,
I still mean there's 10 drivers. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because P10 takes, I believe, something like 11 points. So 10 points. So he's lost out there on a decent point score, which is quite a shame. Obviously, I spoke to Brian before the race, and he said that this is just for this week. He said many people are, I would presume are on holiday or something. He said most will be back for next week. I believe we have about 20 drivers altogether. So I hope most of them will be back next time. So Carson's missed himself on some decent points. Obviously, a pretty easy point grab. You'll get points either way if you participate here. So, yeah, that's not ideal at all for him. As could also be the fact he might have just been, I think we bought that time when we're like, we don't care. At that point, you just want to, get out. You're done, aren't you?
Yeah, what would be more frustrating is that if you're close in the championship towards the end of the season and you're separated by a couple of points, so you're going to come back to these moments and go, why? Yeah,
and there's no excuses on this stage. It's your own fault for retiring. You could have stayed out, or you could have, I believe, pitted the car and got the damage sorted. Even if he was 17 laps behind, he'd still finish the race, just not on the lead lap.
Easier said than done when the drivers might be a little bit fuming to themselves.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, for
that's
sure.
a side of it, I think, as well, too, is learning how to calm yourself down and that sort of stuff as Holland goes quickest again.
So 21.4?
Yeah, he's the only one still in the 20. Actually, a couple of drivers. Alex Rivera's done a 21.8 for his best lap and a 21.8 for Mackenzie Roon. So only 2 other drivers in the 21 club.
Yep.
But nowhere near a 21.4. That's because Holland, of course, is on a 6.1 KI rating. Yep. So we kind of expect him to be a little bit more of a machine than some of the other drivers. However, you'd have to say some of the drivers like Seth MacFarlane and stuff like that, 1.4K, 2K for Brian Long.
What's happened to Kaiko? Oh, no, McFarlane's entered the pits, that's why. It looks like Kaiko made a mistake because she just dropped about 2 seconds back. That's because, obviously, McFarlane carried more speed to the pits. So McFarlane pitting, that will promote Rivera into P5. Kaiko, I believe, has also got a pit, so that will put Rivera into P4. And Brian's got a pit.
Kaiko's boxed before.
Has Kaiko boxed already?
Yeah.
So that makes me think, has Brian already boxed? Oh, no, Brian hasn't. So Brian's got a pit. No. So he'll come out ahead of Kaiko, so it will be P3 at the moment for Brian. P4 for Kaiko, 5 for Rivera, unless he can catch on the back of Kaiko in the next 5 laps. Then McFarlane's looking at a P6, Vedding 7.
To be lapped here too.
8.
Maybe by Holland. No, he just gets out ahead of Holland. There's Holland. There
we are, coming through. David Holland, the race leader, the absolute dominant race leader, currently sitting 5 seconds ahead of Brian Long, but Brian hasn't pitted. He has, so technically he's 17 seconds ahead of the field because Mackenzie Roon's his next rival. He's down, or she or he or they are sitting now 17 seconds back. Yeah, I actually don't know what gender Mackenzie is because Mackenzie's a gender neutral name. Normally the name David and Brian you can tell, but Mackenzie I'm not quite sure, and I feel quite bad for assuming male or female. See, we'll just stick to they for now until I actually know.
We'll find out, of course, the season. This is interesting because Brian Long's he's doing good laps. Last lap is a 22.3, 22.5 for Mackenzie Roon. That's going to be. He's going to be looking at Mackenzie Roon. That's the thing, because Mackenzie Roon's 12 seconds behind Brian now. Brian's got a pit stop to come. I don't think Brian's going to be able to get out ahead of Roon.
Surely not. No, 12 seconds. He would be behind Kaiko.
Kaiko for sure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because Kaiko's...
so it's going to be very, very interesting what Brian's going to do. It could be just a little wait to the last possible moment and just do a quick pit stop. Like, because don't even take fuel or anything. Just stop in your box and go.
Well, Kaiko is in the pits. There we are. So Kaiko is 44 seconds back from Long.
Yeah.
So
and here comes Roon.
Yeah.
So...
Into turn 1, straight through that. Well, no, sorry, into the final corner. Mackenzie Roon coming through to take that P2 back after spinning on lap 1. So Mackenzie Roon doing a very great job from going from 8th to 2nd. And also Brian Long going from in the gravel at turn 1 to P3 on lap 29.
Yeah.
P2 at 1 point. So Brian Long doing a great job, and David Holland, we haven't even spoken about him for the last 10 laps because he's done a tremendous job at leading the field. 18.7 seconds ahead of Roon. He could spin 3 times and still be ahead at this point. He's that dominant in this race so far, and his lap times are constantly 7-8 tenths quicker than nearly everyone on the grid. So David Holland at the moment, tremendous work, as you can see now coming out that chicane. Oh, he nearly has a spin, so I nearly cursed that again.
I was about to say, you trying your best, aren't you, throwing those curses sticking fast to David Holland here? Trying to spice up more action on this track. You're like, David, you're one of the few drivers that have yet to have a little bit of a moment, my friend. Just about everybody's had a little bit of an off-track excursion or a spin.
He'll be in the wall in a second.
David's got to... Yeah, I'm packing my bags and getting the next flight out of here as soon as this race is over, because David's going to come knocking on our door.
He will. He'll be like, so what are you trying to do then? Trying to make me bin it?
Yeah, we'll sit on board with David for a second, because who knows... I tend to find we have you put the camera on.
We have 2 laps left. This is lap 30 of 32. So he's going to drop 9 seconds lap for Mackenzie to take the lead. So I think this is pretty much done, job done.
There you go.
We see his helmet.
Do you think he's got a smile on his face right now?
Yep, needs to rip that tear off because that's very dark. I can see all the dirt on it.
Yeah, usually, and in fact, you'll find this in iRacing, is that it'll actually go to a clear visor as soon as the headlights come on the car when it's triggered for day-night kind of thing.
Yeah,
it just appears clear, just like that. Like you flick your fingers and the magic is clear.
Yeah, I was playing iRacing before it was in the Formula V's, and I went into the gravel, so I had all dirt over my hair. I'm going, how do I get this hair off? I didn't realise you needed to set a button, so I'm driving around with dirt all over the face, thinking, I can't see where I'm going. But yeah, I found out after the race you need to click a button, which was on my wheel already, so I was just stupid. I thought, if I click a button, I'm going to end up locking the brakes or something. As this is Daniel Whitfield into the pit lane along with Andy Yeager. So
I think it's because Daniel went in very early, but I don't know why. Yeah,
and then Andy. Possibly. Oh, there we are. And Andy following him out. He's like, well, wherever you go, Daniel, I'll be following you through. Oh, and he's spun. He's broke
the exit.
Well, he broke the wing and it's popped back on. Very good work from the mechanics there.
It's a fast repair. It's interesting.
Yeah, I've never seen a wing do that before.
Like an instant fast repair.
Whitfield. Lap 31 of 32, 19.5 seconds ahead of Mackenzie Roon. Mackenzie Roon 21 seconds ahead of Brian Long, and Brian Long 14 seconds ahead of Kaiko. So there is a massive gap separating the field. Top 5 separated by a minute. 59.5 seconds is the top 5. The whole grid is separated by over 1 lap. It's 8 laps because that's Carson Keane retired about 8 laps ago. That would have been lap 23, which is when he entered the pits and thought, yep, I'm done after having a spin. Then at the exit of, I think it's this corner now where Holland's coming up to.
See a little bit of puff of dirt from somebody.
Nearly, yeah. I would say it looks like he was nearly locking for David as well, isn't it, through there?
Pushing this thing, throwing it around. You can just see sometimes, it's amazing different driving styles. You see some drivers that look like, this thing's easy to drive, and you look at David at the moment, he's just yanking
the
this
back end
thing around.
You think there's 2 laps to go? Calm down. You don't want to be in the wall. It doesn't bother David. Same as Max Verstappen.
Probably wants the fastest lap again. He's already got it. I'll probably look at making get another fastest lap.
He's got it by 4 tenths.
I don't know who's throwing that lock up the road. Because I can barely see a car up the road. And yet, I think that is, that's Andy Yeager.
We're at the white flag condition, so it is the fold David onto the gravel there. Onto the curb. This is the final lap. 32 out of 32 from everyone on the grid. I think there's a few people on lap 31 of 32 at the moment. David Holland, Brune, Brian, Maud, and Alexander are all on their final laps of the race. And
Susan, your son's retired, but I think he might be okay, right? Because he was last anyway, but I think he's already completed 99% of the race at this point.
That's a weird one, isn't it?
You should still get the points. I believe there's probably generally the rule of how much of a race 90%. You complete to get. Yeah, so I can't blame you for doing that one.
I think 90% is like 26 laps or something. No, about 27, 28 laps, so we should be fine as Whitfield. So Holland. Sorry, you're the name beginning with the date. He's coming through, down in towards. I believe this is turn 8. Yes, it is. So, Mr. Dean Biggles, who's your driver of the day so far?
This man. Well, driver's day, Mackenzie Roon.
Fair.
I'd say for the drive back to drive through, and you could see how he wasn't really easy to overtake in some parts of this track, but he got it done, and there is. But this man's got it done from what he needed to get done in turn 1, wasn't it?
Yep. David Holland comes through the final corner for the final time to win the first round here in the SR4S Formula 3 Championship. Mackenzie Roon, 19 seconds back. So we have a bit of a pause before our second place man crosses the line. He's coming through now in towards the final few corners of the final chicane of the circuit. Mackenzie Roon will come home to take P2 after qualifying on pole, dropping down to 8th, back up to 2nd. And next, we have a 31-second gap. This is to Brian Long, who will be coming home, yes, in 3rd, after being 31 seconds back. He's coming down into the hairpin. Then he has this pretty much straight chicane. Then he has the final chicane. Then he has the line. He's got a far way to come, with Coco sitting 6 seconds back. But Brian Long, after going round her turn 1 after some reason not braking, is pretty himself back into a very nice position to take his first podium of the season, the first round of the season. It's a first podium for Brian Long to come across the line and take that P3. And then we have Kaiko sitting 6.4 seconds back. She will be taking that 4th place finish after starting, I believe, in 8th position. There we are. Now we've got Alex Rivera to cross on as well. Obviously, he was looking for P3, had a collision with Keane, then had a spin, and he's now going to finish into the top 5 for his first race of the season. And finally, we've got Jaeger, who is going to come through, I believe.
Peter. Oh, Peter, yeah, right. There's Peter's across the line already, and there's Jaeger.
It's a very nice race. For only 10 cars, 8 at the end, and 30 laps. That was a very interesting race. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, for a bit we had some good wheel-to-wheel racing, and then they were starting to just quiet out a little bit, and then bang, all of a sudden, just within a couple of laps, there was a little drama that occurred. Yeah. That's just the beauty of motor racing, isn't it? And it takes a snap, a little bit of a moment, and bang. You're no longer... You're not chiseling your name in stone in any motor racing until you cross that line to see Barney checking... waving the checker flag is what I was looking for, and here he is, David, and once again...
Why is he called Barney?
It's just a nickname everybody's given him over the years, and so we just continue to go with it. I don't know specifically why, but anyway, let's pull up those race results to go over.
So here we are. So it is David Holland taking the victory there. 25 points for him to take home, and also Mackenzie Roon got the pole position, so they will also take an extra point for that pole position with 22 points along for the race result. So it's 23 points there for Mackenzie Roon, so 2 points separates the top 2 after this race. Then we have Brian Long in 3rd, Mod Kaiko in 4th. In the top 5, it is Alex Rivera, so both of the self-entitled puppets in the top 5. Then we have Mr. Seth MacFarlane in P6, Peter Vedding in 7th, Andy Jaeger in 8th, and then obviously Daniel Whitfield retired on lap 28, and Carson Keane retired on lap 22. So only 8 people finishing in the race, only 5 of them on the lead lap, but still a very entertaining race. And Biggles, I don't know how it works. Do we have interviews or do we not? How does it work around here?
we have an interview waiting room, so if any of the drivers want to come and have a quick yarn, they know where to go. They know the deal. Jump into the waiting room and we shall bring you into the booth for a yarn.
Be nice. So
just wait a few minutes, because sometimes drivers, of course, after a fairly long, let's say, race, want to get up there and have a quick bathroom break and stuff like that too. So they might be doing that. I know that for the for the beer league, right? That's that
Yes.
we do. Like a lot of drivers generally, as they are encouraged to drink during that one, of course they had to get up. They're all badly running to the bathroom after a race.
Mackenzie can't make their way to the interview waiting room. Doesn't know where it is, but it is at the bottom. And I don't think that anyone could see it apart from us.
Is he waiting? Okay, so did you say that was Mackenzie?
Yeah.
I'll just drag him in. I think Oh, here he is. Mackenzie, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Good
to
go
be
ahead,
here.
Nathan.
Well, very nice race. Took pole, then you dropped down to 8th. What happened then on that first couple of laps?
Yeah, going through that first chicane, I just had too much steering lock in when I hit the gas on the cold tires, and I just spun it. Seems to be my MO last season. Every time I got pole, or second place even, I would spin out on lap 1. It's not the worst problem to have, but I'm working through it. Get the nerves out beginning of the season.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, you dropped down to 8th. You had a great recovery drive back up to P2, and obviously taking that extra point for pole. That'll be 23 points. So very nice. And obviously, your rival, David Holland, did a great job. So do you think you'll be able to challenge him this season, or do you think at the moment he's just a little bit too far ahead in terms of pace?
If this race is anything to go by, he's in another level. I saw his times in the practice session. My goal was, even if I was a little slower, to be, more consistent, but he seemed to be 4 or 5 tenths faster a lap and consistent. So, high goals, which is a good thing. So it'll be a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, P2, great way to start the season. Do you think you can get that again? Or do you think there's obviously, I think Carson and Alexander had issues. Otherwise, they probably would have been fighting with you, wouldn't they?
Yeah, regardless, it's going to be a good fight up front, hopefully all season long. So, whatever position I end up at, I'm just looking for a good battle up front.
Yeah, and anything from you, Biggles, before we let Mackenzie go?
No, you're fine. You've asked all those questions. Congratulations. You were my driver of the day there, Mackenzie, for sure, for that fight back. So keep up the good work.
Yep. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. And Biggles, you can go through the next person.
You got those interviews, my friend.
Okay, everyone. Okay.
I'm clicking all the buttons and doing that behind the scene there. So
I'll drag them both up. I'll drag Brian and Mod up, and then we'll tweet to him separately. So, first of all, I presume, is it Mod? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, Mod, or at least either one works for me.
Yeah, okay. So, welcome in, Mod Coco. Great race, of course, into P4. Qualifying, not the strongest, but you did fight back in the race and did take a P4. So, explain. How did that race and qualifying go for you?
My qualifying wasn't great. Yeah, I did do much better in practicing, but I went 3 wide coming into turn. That was a big moment, and Brian, of course, had a bit of a slide out and got a bit of damage from that whole calamity. So it was a survival race from there for me. I think I did all right with it.
Yeah, definitely. You was a bit off from the lead, but regardless, David is in another level, and still, it was still a P4, which is a great result. I believe that is 17 points to take away, so very decent for the first round. Obviously, unfortunately, only 10 drivers here, so I think when we get more of a competitive grid with more drivers in, do you think you'll be able to fight back up with that P4, or where do you think you'll end up with a more stacked grid?
I'm ever the mid-pack driver, so hopefully I'll just have more people to race with, but I'll be in the middle as ever.
Yeah, well, thanks, Mod, for coming in for a chat, and we hope to see you at the next race. So have a good evening, a good week.
Yeah, thank you very much. Take care.
Take care. And then finally, we got Brian. Welcome in, Brian.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me.
So, P3, very nice result, considering what happened at turn 1. Was you, wasn't it, that ended up turned around at turn 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Biggles. No, it's my signature move, just turning my car 180. That's how I do it. No, I anybody who's watching, I apologize for that, guys. I was just beginning of the season. I had the jitters and was watching my mirror because Elise was right on my butt. So
yeah. So was it?
Sorry about that.
Was it a lockup, or was it just the fact of braking too late in the car, just going round?
You're so used to taking that first corner at such a high speed, and I have not been on the inside there, so I misjudged the distance and completely ruined it. But luckily, it didn't feel like anybody hit me. But I think I caused a little chaos, so sorry. And I will happily take P3 because for the rest of the season, that if more people show up, that's not happening.
Well, you was around at turn 1, you was in the ground, but then you came back to take P3. I think that is a very well recovered drive up into the top 3. Obviously, still. quite a bit far back from David, who was, I think, on an absolute other level today. But still, you made it work. You got yourself a P3. Once you had that incident to turn 1, it seems like you got a lot more consistent. You drove to the end, pitted very late. Was that the plan, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's quicker pit stop if you have less fuel in the tank, and I think I learned today that we might be able to. I don't know, but there was only 4 laps of fuel left at the end, so fuel saving might be a thing this season. I'm not sure. Who knows?
Yeah, well, still great drive. Like you said before, you don't think you'll get another P3 this season, or come on, you've got to be a bit optimistic.
It's I was very what's the word I'm looking for? I still got that adrenaline going. It was very reassuring to see guys like Keane and Rivera, who unfortunately took each other out. Thank you, gentlemen. I very much appreciate that. But their pace, I was luckily catching up with at the end. Same with Mackenzie. And it looked like Keane was actually keeping up with Holland there for a minute until Rivera caught him. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be close. And we still have Michael Brooks coming back in just a couple weeks, and he's going to be up there too. So and not only that, but Elise also usually keeps up. After a few laps, she warms up and just stays there. So it'll be competitive this season. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, you helped make it an American top 3, so well done on that regard as well. Anything from you, Biggles, quickly?
Nope, you covered it all good. Yeah, as you said, 4 positions gained there, Brian. So a good drive overall. Of course, points are points, and it's going to be an interesting season, my friend. Once you get a few more of those drivers, of course, a little bit more competition. Just real quick, wanted to pass on the question as to if is there a certain percentage that the drivers need to finish the race? How many to get the points? Because we saw some.
No, it's just finished position. So this week, if people weren't here and other people did show up and start and break their car, they still got further than whoever didn't, right? So
okay.
Because
Carson Keane retired a little bit earlier in this race, and we're wondering if Carson Keane will still get awarded that P10 position.
Yeah, that's wherever he finishes according to his points. That's what the system will give him.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, Brian.
We have one more person.
Thank you very much, guys.
No problem. And we have Mr. Vedding, who's going to hop into towards the broadcasting room. So, hello.
Hello.
And I'm very sorry because I don't think I can pronounce your name at all. So, would you like to quickly tell me how you say your name?
You can use Peter instead of Peter. Just Peter,
okay.
and it's Vedding. It's actually pretty good for English pronunciation.
We got it right.
Yeah, you did a good job on that. I was really surprised.
The H is silent. Okay, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, great job. P7, not ideal, but still, you kept it consistent. You finished ahead of 3 other people, so it's still a decent result to take away. I think P7 is around 15 points, so it's still a nice points all to take away. Explain. Vedding, how did it go throughout the race? Obviously, qualifying in the race.
Well, I don't have a lot of expectations as I've only been doing this for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of I see myself as a rookie here. I haven't done anything seriously competitive before, so I'm a little disappointed in my pace. I see that the guys took different lines. I didn't practice enough, so I have to do a better job at Suzuka to get within a second at least. I also had a spin that was totally unnecessary. But other than that, I survived the race. I'm not in last place, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah, and obviously, looking through the 8 race championship, is there any tracks that you think will really suit your style, or?
Suzuka, Watkins Glen, and I like to say Spa, but I think I'm lying. I don't think I'm really as good as I think I am.
Well, that's the second race and the 6th and 7th. So then you've got CGV, Brands Hatch, and Charlotte in the middle. Do you think that'll be a bit of a rough patch then, or you think you can just try and stick it out?
I don't really know CGV that well. I just purchased this on iRacing, so
yeah.
I have a lot of work to do there. As for Charlotte, never done it before. That's going to be new. Brands Hatch, I've driven it in other sims, but I'm not an expert. As I said, I'm a rookie. I'm still learning. I'm trying to not mess up my own race, trying to not mess up other people's races, and just have fun.
Yeah, well, that's the main part of it all, isn't it? Having fun. So, thank you. Peter Vedding for joining us. Anything from you, Biggles, quickly before we let him go?
Well, you covered
nothing. Thank you for interviewing me.
You covered all the. I got a quick question. You covered all the racing stuff. Looking at your card, is that a Star Wars symbol that's on it?
Yeah, it is a Rebel Alliance.
A Rebel Alliance
because I like Star Wars. Why not represent?
Well, I figured that when I saw that. Yeah, I'm going to say
helmet as well.
You rebel scum. This is the reference from the movie.
Exactly.
But you're not. You're a great guy, Peter. Some of my best friends actually got a couple of buddies that visit me often, actually from Norway. So I got to get my butt up to Norway one time there. Beautiful country.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
guys.
See you
Thank
later,
you.
my
Bye
friend.
bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So there we are. We come to the end of that one. It was very nice to see. I think we had 5 people interviewed, so very busy in the interview room, and still a very busy Grand Prix as well. And yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Biggles, I won't be here from now on. Zach's going to be back from next week, so only one race, and I'm hopefully I can get myself into one of the rounds near the end because it has been a great championship to cover on. Obviously, only 10 drivers, so I believe when we have a full grid of 18 to 20, it'll be even better. But yeah, a great way to win this race, and yeah, lots of happy people coming out of it. Even people who finishing down in 5th, 6th, and 7th coming out happy in the interview room, which is always nice to see, and obviously everyone always having a bit of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that one. It is a fun series. Of course, if you want to join it, click all the information below. Hit the like and subscribe button if you did like the race. Well, you will be missed, of course, then, Nathan, because, yeah, but of course, Zach's regularly then. He's overseas at the moment doing some paid work somewhere else. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be definitely some moments that you'll be able to fill in there if, unfortunately, Zach can't make it. And also in the fantastic other leagues that we have here at the JP Broadcasting. And of course, so you'll be joining me again anyway, perhaps in the new season of the B League and stuff like that as well.
Might be.
That's an early one for you. I'm sure you'd like to be
2 a.m.
casting where it's where it's a little better time zone.
I'd rather it be about 8 p.m. But if it's 2 a.m., it's part of the fun. It's something a bit different, which is nice. But yeah, there's nothing left from me to say anyway, apart from thank you everyone for joining us in the chat.
That's it. Good night, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. See you again soon.
Goodbye.